last week. We were at Breslin in different roles. Andy was there covering Catholic Central. I was there as an assistant coach to the Tri-Unity team. And so we're going to talk about Catholic Central first. Obviously, they made a great tournament run, Andy, to get to the state semis. Played Warren Lincoln, ended up losing by 4. Your thoughts about that game?
Yeah, Warren Lincoln was one of those teams that a lot of people consider to be the best in the state. So I think it was a little bit of a surprise, honestly, to see Catholic Central keep that game within 4 points. They actually led at halftime by 4. Kind of got away from towards the end. Chris Pearl, their first-year head coach, took over for T.J. Merriman. Obviously did a great job just to get them there in general. But I was actually where I was kind of shooting from on the floor towards the end of the game. They missed 4 free throws on the stretch that kind of ended up costing them the game. They lost by 4 points. Obviously, other things go into a game than just that. But when it came down to it towards the end, you could just kind of see he kind of crouched down a little bit, and you could see it was like kind of coming over him. So I asked him about that after the game. And he was just kind of like, I know we make those. I know we usually make those. So to lose to a team like this because of that really does hurt. So the good thing for them is they only are losing 2 people from this year. So they were a very, very young team on top of having a really, really young coach. Yep. So I think that, going into next year will be better for them. But, yeah, as far as the game goes, they played right with them. But, yeah, they had a tough time. Larthridge had 10 points in the game, but all 10 of his points came in the first half. So they also kind of missed having that in the second half as well. So, yeah, I give Catholic Central a lot of credit for competing in that game, and just getting there their first year was awesome. But I'm sure they wanted to play on the final day of the season as well. So
yeah. We watched that game from our hotel room that we stayed in before the day of the state finals. And what I saw was, were you surprised a little bit that they didn't foul a little bit quicker at the end? I think it was like a 1 or 2 point, maybe it was a 2-3 point game, and they had the foul and they kind of waited a little bit.
Yeah, I think they were relying on getting some kind of turnover, them making a mistake. They did make a few down the stretch, Warren Lincoln that is, so I think maybe they were trying to find a way to do that without giving them they had free throw shooters that were almost all shooting over 80% from the guard range, so they had good free throw shooters in the season. So yeah, I do think you could have fouled earlier there, probably to give yourself a better chance to just have more possessions. Hopefully you hit a 3 or something like that. But yeah, I guess they went the turnover route in that situation. They tried to get one, quicker than later. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it's for Catholic, I think there are some X's and O's things that I think Chris would tell you he could probably improve on this year as well. And maybe that's one of them down the stretch, trying to close out games. But yeah, no, I think overall they held in that game as long as they could. And if they could have just on the front end, before it did come down to them kind of dribbling out the clock, they did have the chance to make 2 free throws. They missed the front end, so I'm sure Chris probably didn't have the chance to tell them directly, like, hey, you guys need to foul right away. Should they probably know that? Yes, but it's one of those things at the end of the game where sometimes when you're in high school, those are the things you don't think about right away, and they probably did let them dribble it out a little too long.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously a lot of returning talent back here are coming back next year, so obviously they will be a team to watch going into next season.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this last week just because we didn't do our podcast after the quarterfinals, but Byron Center losing on that banked in 3-point shot.
Yeah, that's
to Frank Carmen Ainsworth.
There's a couple that cost some teams some trips to the Breslin. I mean, Rockford kind of had the same thing happen to them too at overtime. They didn't lose on it, but they ended up going to overtime and having a tough time there. So, yeah, we could have had a lot more teams at the Breslin, but yeah, Byron definitely lost on an absolute heartbreaker. What a season for them, though. I mean, like, to make it this far, they're usually not one of those teams you're talking about every season at the end of the year when it comes to basketball. So, as we've kind of mentioned all year, it seems to be that their athletics in general, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, doesn't matter what it is, they've been around towards the end of tournaments in the MHSAA lately. So, yeah, a great season for Byron Center. A lot of credit to them, and they had some great seniors in that team that led them that far. So
yeah, I was going to say that too. Obviously, a heartbreaker for those seniors. One step away from competing at the Breslin Center after the football team made it to Ford Field. So we really look at that program too as one that's kind of building some momentum toward the future. And another team to look out for as well next year. I know they had a pretty good JV team. So like I said, they're building that program to compete in the postseason every year.
Absolutely.
So, all right, let's talk about Tri-Unity.
Wait, the team that you coach, you mean?
Yeah, the team that I coach.
Well, you don't have to be biased anymore because you guys won it all. So.
Right. I will tell you this, Andy. We had our community celebration on Monday night, and I kind of talked about you couldn't have scripted it any better, right? Like I kind of called it a storybook ending for Coach Mark Keeler. He's been at the helm of the program for 38 seasons, and going into Saturday morning's final, he had won 6 state titles, finished runner-up 6 times, and obviously to win that last game of his illustrious career was absolutely amazing. You know, if you look at some of the footage, I literally think that a lot of the coaches did. We got a little emotional.
Yeah.
After the game, just
I
for
can see it in
Coach.
your players' faces, man.
Coach got emotional, you know, knowing that it's his last game ever, and for him to go out on top. You know, we won a state championship last year. We lost 8 seniors. I think a lot of people kind of doubted if we could get back and do it again. We only had basically 1 returning starter. Keaton Blanker was kind of a returning starter at point guard. Joey Mellon played a lot last year, and you know, we just had a nucleus of guys who kind of stepped up. We had a newcomer come from Kentucky, Noah Silverton, and Cody Osmond, who he was on my JV team.
Wow.
At the start of the year. And Coach moved him up, and he really, really did a great job and helped lead that team. I feel like he was the kind of maybe the piece that was missing from our team, but he really stepped up in the starting role and did a great job.
Yeah, I saw Keaton's comments after the game, just kind of talking about how young you guys really were. Maybe not that many people did expect you guys to get there.
Yeah.
I feel like though anybody on that team would have told you from the beginning that anything from Art Keeler, there was no way they weren't going to get that job done. It was awesome to see. I don't know if you gave Keaton any crap about dropping that trophy there, having a little fumble there at the end.
So you saw the picture I sent you, right?
Yes, I did.
So it did make the Grand Rapids Press yesterday, and I had to go buy a copy, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was Cody Osmond, by the way. I can't believe I mispronounced his name there.
Yeah.
So Keaton Blanker dates my oldest daughter, Ella, and Keaton went over to the student section, and Ella came down and gave him a big hug and kind of pulled him in really hard, and Keaton had the trophy in one hand, and as she pulled him to give him a hug, he kind of dropped the trophy, and it kind of hit his foot, and they kind of grabbed it real quick, and Keaton's mom actually has a great kind of live picture of all of that happening, and then MLive took a great picture of it.
Yeah, you can see it in his face.
And you can see Keaton's face is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to drop this trophy.
Yeah.
And so it was a pretty memorable moment for him and kind of him and Ella, right, and my daughter. And you know, kind of a funny moment too, right? Because a lot of people saw that, like, oh my gosh, he just dropped the trophy, and I said, hey, did it break? And he's like, no. He's like, thank goodness
that's all that matters.
It
but,
did not break.
For a team that Mark said was his best defensive team that he's maybe ever had there since he's been coaching there. Didn't play great defense with the trophy there in his hands, but
he did. It was one of Keaton's few turnovers that game.
He did not have a lot all season either. So
no. And you talked about the defense, and this was Coach Keeler's, and he said it numerous times, his best defense he's ever had. And you know, you're spanning over 3 decades here when talking about defensive teams, but they held their average of holding teams was under 40 points a game.
Wow.
Fowler was a really, really good offensive team. We held them to 32 points. And that's where it started, you know, with defense and rebounding. We knew we had to keep Fowler off of the boards, especially the offensive boards, because that's what they like to do. They shoot a lot of threes, and they like to get their own rebounds. So we did a nice job of kind of holding them down as far as the offensive rebounding went. And I think jumping out to an 11-0 start
definitely
was huge as far as and you know, Fowler was looking for their first state championships in 1958.
Yeah.
Right. Tri-Unity for Keeler, it's kind of been, you know, old hat, right? Like every 3 years he's making it to the Breslin throughout his career, which is kind of crazy to think, right? And I think a lot of pressure was on Fowler to win that state championship. They had a great following, and I give a lot of respect for Fowler and their coaching staff. Like they, you know, obviously super emotional after the game because they had some good seniors, and they just play hard. You know, it's a very good program. We were very fortunate to come out and play as well as we did to win that 7th state championship for Coach.
No, you guys earned a great season. I think I kind of knew also. I kept pushing the narrative like they're not going to knock it there for Mark. So it was awesome to see. But yeah, anytime in a big game like that at the Breslin Center, where sometimes the stage is a little bit bigger, to be able to get out to a big league like that helps. So yeah, definitely good for you guys. Awesome to hear.
Yep.
And it was a great way to end the season.
Yep.
So.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, Andy, let's switch to the girls now. Obviously, we had the state quarterfinals on Tuesday, state semifinals coming up on Friday of this week, and the state championship games on Saturday. let's talk about Miss Basketball. You
Yeah.
went down to Detroit. Anna Wypich was named Miss Basketball, and you were there to write a story and talk to her and talk about that experience.
Yeah, no, I've been covering Anna for a lot of years now. Great basketball player. Obviously, anybody that can make it to the Breslin Center 3 times out of their 4, now it's 4 out of 4 after the results from yesterday. They were able to get by Grand Haven when it was a close game all the way through, but they did win. But yeah, no, she. It's kind of funny talking to her there because like the way that they set up this award, it's at the Detroit Free Press in Detroit. It's named after Mick McCabe, who's a longtime high school reporter there. And they always do it like the week of their championship. So a lot of the time, the MHSAA championships, a lot of the time, the Miss Basketball winner is usually still playing basketball. So they had this crazy schedule where they had to go down there, do the award ceremony, and then go back for a practice that night, and then had to play again the next day and against one of the best teams you're going to play in the state in general in Grand Haven. So definitely had a tight schedule, but she wouldn't miss it for the world. I think everybody around her, the whole community of Rockford, is just so supportive, and I think that they kind of expected her to win it. She won it by over 2,000 votes. So, I mean, it was, correct myself, 1,200 votes. So, yeah, she blew it out of the water. She got 444 first-place votes, which was 200 more than anybody else. So, it was pretty unanimous that she was going to get the award. And, I mean, she's just a great point guard, great distributor. She can score. She can really do it all. I mean, she holds, like, every single, you can check out the article that I wrote, but she literally holds like every record for like 3-pointers, points, assists, like, and then in-game statistics like points, assists, like all that, like 8 3-pointers in a game is their record, like stuff like that. So yeah, Rockford's a school where it's pretty prestigious. And I think one of the quotes I took away the most from yesterday was Brad Wilson, their head coach. He said, like, after the game, like, I've coached a lot of people here, but this might be not just the best, like, women's basketball player ever at Rockford, but maybe the best athlete overall to come out of Rockford because of everything that she's accomplished. And that's saying a lot because there's a lot of good athletes that have come through that school over their time. But, yeah, I would expect nothing else of them to be playing for a state championship, and she's going to be the person leading the charge. I mean, she was ecstatic to get the award. She said it was definitely a part of her goal, like, all the way through her high school career. Brad actually lives 3 doors down from the Y-Pitches, so they've been like friends their entire life growing up. So they've always known they had something special, but I don't know if they knew they had something this special, and it's pretty cool to see. And Addison, her sister, already broke the single season. She's a freshman playing on varsity. She broke the single season record for assists this year. And I asked Anna if she has a chance to win Miss Basketball, and she said, no doubt. Think she'll be there sometime in the future. So, yeah, it's really cool to see. It's awesome to see, like, big basketball families like that. Her older sister, Alyssa, she plays at Northern Michigan right now, and her mom also played at Northern Michigan. Mm-hmm. She's also been on the staff for 8 years as a coach. So, yeah, it's a basketball family, and it's not a surprise to me that Anna got it because she's a great basketball player, really, really good person, too. And it was awesome to see her get recognized like that. So.
It doesn't really feel real quite yet, but this is something that I've been working for. I set a goal for myself this year. This was one of them, so I'm super blessed and super grateful, and I can't be more happy. I think when Coach Wilson told everyone that I won this award was a moment I'll never forget. Everyone was super happy for me, and that just shows that my teammates are the ones who supported me and led me here.
You see Anna's talent on the floor, but outside of that, she's just such a great person. She does such a good job with our youth program. She always takes time to sign autographs and help younger kids. She does some training, and everyone looks up to her, and she's such a great example for our community, and that's probably what I'm most proud of.
That was good to hear from Brad and Anna there. Again, just both very, very good basketball people, know a lot about the game, and again, just congrats to Anna and her family and her team that she continues to give credit for the only reason that she won it. Yeah, it's just awesome, very, very deserving person, but they still do have basketball to play.
Yes.
Yeah, we have them playing here in the state semifinals. Like I said, they were able to defeat Grand Haven on Tuesday night. So on Friday they will be playing at 2:00, and it should be a good one. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people expect Rockford to make it, but what do you think about it?
Wayne Memorial.
Yes,
is who they play. And I was there last year. I think you were there last year.
Yep.
When they lost a heartbreaker in the semis to West Bloomfield.
Yep.
And
crazy.
Yeah, down up 3 with 3 seconds left. Girl hits a 3-pointer from deep.
Yeah,
from deep.
To
like
be
right
fair,
in front of me.
Grace Lyons, though, the season before that, when they did win their state championship, she hit one of the buzzer to beat them as well. So it's been ongoing with them for a while.
Yeah. So they ended up losing in overtime, and obviously, that was a tough pill for them to swallow. I think, and I think if you talk to Brad now, he's like, hey, our goal was to kind of get back. and now they're here. And, let's see if they can get it done. The one thing is, if they win and West Bloomfield wins, Saturday will be
the showdown again.
Will be the rematch.
Yes, for sure.
For a state championship.
I think you could expect that, and I think it'll be a great basketball game if it does happen. Obviously, Rockford's probably not looking ahead,
right,
to that moment. But yeah, they've had some great moments with West Bloomfield in the past. I expect it to be another great game. I haven't actually. The funniest thing about all this is like, and I said it to Anna yesterday. I've covered her over the last 3 seasons plenty of times. Mm-hmm. This year, I still haven't covered one of their games yet.
Oh, really?
So this will be my first time on Friday actually seeing this version of this team play. So I've seen every other team play in the area besides them. So it just has worked out that way.
I think a big factor for Rockford girls is the fact that Sienna Wolf is back.
Yeah, that's huge.
She missed part of the season with an injury. I saw her.
She was out at the end of last year too, right?
Yeah, I saw her knock down a 3-pointer last night, and that's the one thing about Rockford. And I used to coach girls basketball at Granville for many years, so we went up against Rockford obviously twice a year. And the one thing that stands out with me with all Rockford teams is their ability to shoot the 3-pointer.
Yeah.
They have tremendous shooters. Several can knock down at any moment in time. I think that's been a big key during the last 4 or 5 years when they've had some success.
Yeah, not only that, like obviously they can knock down the shots, but the way they're able to move the ball to get to the open player too is really, really impressive. It's like you can tell these girls have been playing together for a very, very long time because they know where everybody's at in the floor the whole game. So that's part of what's made them so good. And that's a lot of credit to Brad too and his coaching staff, because it's not easy to get people ready and just make shots look that easy when they're all wide open.
Right.
So yeah, no, they run a great offense there. They're really, really good at moving the ball, and they know where the other player is going to be at. And as long as they can keep knocking down those threes, they're not going to have much of a problem, I don't think.
No.
But that's not a given. You play at the Breslin Center. Sometimes, I've had plenty of coaches give me quotes from that place, like saying, "Oh, it feels like there's a lid in the rim." But it's just because I think sometimes you're so nervous, like playing in that big of a setting, it really can change how it goes. But if they can knock down a couple shots early, I think it'll go a long way, kind of like it did for you guys at Tri-Unity there in the men's game to get up 11-0. Yep. If you can hit a couple big shots early and get your crowd into it, because Rockford's going to be there. There'll be a lot of orange in that lower bowl on Friday afternoon.
That whole city will be out there.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be.
There's no school.
I was going to say, I don't think they'll have school that day.
They always cancel school on Friday. They load up the buses, and they head to Breslin, where they've been the last few years.
Yep.
So the support is going to be tremendous. And, Andy and I will be there covering that game on Friday, along with West Catholic.
Yep.
And West Catholic will play on Friday evening at 7:30. Is that correct, Andy?
Yes, it is.
West Catholic with a big win last night over South Christian to move on to the state semis for the second straight year. Or is this the third for West Catholic?
This is their third straight year going to the Breslin Center.
Okay.
No. Actually, no, it's their fourth time at least making it to the Breslin Center in a row.
Fourth time to the
Breslin.
Breslin.
So they haven't made it to the state championship game every time, but they have made it to the Breslin Center 4 years in a row now, which is incredible because, like I've mentioned many times on the podcast, it's not like I actually went there for a year, been around with them for a while and known a lot about the history of their school. No one ever talked about girls basketball when I was in high school. They've really done a great job, like changing the program there and making it like. Every year you can just expect him to be there right now, and that's a lot of credit to Derek too.
First year coach Derek Hayes. He used to coach at Hudsonville.
He took the job, and he kept it going, which says a lot because it's not always easy to take over a program and just keep that going. And they lost a lot of people too. From last year, and Cadence Dykstra was one of the key people on their team a year ago that was their point guard, and everybody knows if you watch any pregame shows for NCAA March Madness, everybody's going to tell you that if you have good guard play, you're going to go deep in the tournament. And senior guard play too. And that's definitely what they had in Cadence. They lost her, but Alicia Dykstra's done a great job leading that team to where they are now, and Derek's done a great job being the coach there as well.
Yeah, I watched Alicia last week. I covered both of the regional games last week they hosted. And she impressed me. I don't get a chance to watch a lot of girls basketball throughout the season because I'm busy at Tri-Unity. But Alicia Dykstra has the ability to shoot the ball, shoot the three-point ball, get to the basket, very good ball handler, plays good defense. And I was actually there, Andy, when she got her 1,000th point of her career toward the end of the regional final game. So I think that was pretty special for her.
Yeah, it's awesome. They've had, like I said, some of the players they've had, including like Abby Kimball, Cadence Dykstra, they've all had that moment with a 1,000th point. It's not easy to get that many players in that short of a time that score that many points. So
I don't know if Cadence was the same, Andy, but I seen that Alicia's very even keel. She doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, doesn't let the moment kind of affect her when she's out there.
Yeah.
I was very impressed by her. She has a very good supporting cast. The point guard, the sophomore center. Lots of girls who can do lots of different things.
Yeah.
I knew that South Christian game last night was going to be tough.
Yeah. No, they split 1-1 in the regular season. Shared the conference title. So, I mean, you kind of expected it to go that way and be a close game till the finish. And I mean, that's like, but again, talking about them not being too even keel, I do want to give credit to Jill Vander Ende because she was the coach for them for a few years before that. Yep. And she was a big part of what got the program here as well. So, yeah, they haven't instilled to not get too high or too low, and I expect them to be in the semifinal game till the finish.
Yep. And in the semis, West Catholic will play Detroit Edison.
Mm-hmm.
They will come in with a 19-6 record. It looks like they've been playing well down the stretch, obviously, to get to this point. And then in the other bracket, we have Frankenmuth and Tecumseh.
Yep, for sure. And Frankenmuth's a team that West Catholic fans are very familiar with from different state finals in football and other sports as well. So that's one of those schools that get matched up with a lot. So if they're able to get by Detroit Edison, they'll get there. But I'm sure they're not looking ahead of that matchup. I think that a lot of people would tell you this kind of feels like the state championship game in a way because both these teams are really, really good. So it should be a good one to watch.
Yep. Well, this will be the end of the winter season as far as sports go. So, like I said, Andy and I will be there this weekend covering everything, and we will bring you the recap next week.